there have been games that have been terrible on release that have been turned into something decent that have been viable moving forward. It's very rare though, right? Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, that game was a mess on release. They basically completely rebuilt that game, turned it into something very good, and it has been a notable title for quite a while now. You know what I mean? But it's a very rare thing to see that happen. It's very, very rare. And here's the thing. Most of the time, if a game is going to evolve to turn into something decent moving forward, it's got to have something of a decent base to it. I don't think Redfall has that, dude. I just don't see it. Well, I don't think the issue with Cyberpunk was ever an issue of content, though. I mean, the issue with Cyberpunk was an issue of performance. Mostly. To be fair, there was some content stuff in the game that was not fantastic. A lot of the vehicle stuff, a lot of the AI for like cops and stuff was not good, stuff like that. But the Cyberpunk issue was a performance issue, and that's not necessarily what we're talking about right now. Right? We're talking about games that come out, and Redfall was not terrible performance-wise. It just wasn't a fun game. You know? So I think that's what I'm getting at is like the core of what if you're going to talk about a game and like we're going to make this into something decent, it's like, do you have enough of a base in a title there to actually turn it into something decent? I don't think they really do with Redfall, to be honest. They might, but I don't think that General's probably wrong there either. I think it's too far gone. I don't think enough people actually have an interest in it, even if they do a bunch of developing to change what Redfall is from what it currently is to make it into something even decent. I don't think enough people care anymore to actually even dive in and give it a shot. It'll help that it's on Game Pass, but outside of that, I don't think many people care. And as far as the whole Cyberpunk is good now thing, I've heard the same thing. The issue for me with CDPR and Cyberpunk is that game was a busted piece of crap on every single platform. Apparently the game of the decade. Yeah, never. I own it. I own RDR, dude. I own it on PS3. I don't need to buy the port. I'm not buying that game, dude. Get wrecked. That's insane. I know you're memeing me, but yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, the Cyberpunk thing is like, for me, that's what made CDPR feel so terribly disgusting. They knew for a fact that game wasn't ready to release. It's become an iconic thing for people to talk about in the gaming industry about an example of a terrible release, you know. Well, General, I say this all the time. There are not very many other companies that can stand up to CDPR when it comes to content. You want to talk about narrative, lore, character, writing, things like that. There are not a whole lot of other companies that can stand up to that kind of stuff for CDPR, which is why they're still alive. Many other companies, if they had done what CDPR did with Cyberpunk and duped that many people with that terrible of a game, release, they wouldn't have survived. My thing is, they cheated a ton of people on the release of that game when they knew it wasn't ready. That's not acceptable, man. I'm not talking about what it is now, right? The fact of what they did originally with that, they knew it wasn't ready. You know they knew that that game wasn't ready to be released. It was terrible on all platforms. All platforms. Even on PC, where it was more playable than any other platform, it still was bad for a lot of people. But it was trash, dude. It was a dumpster fire. They marketed the crap out of it. They promoted the crap out of it. They got a ton of people to buy into that game. Roughly 13 million to be exact. It was a huge scam. Roughly 13 million people bought into that game on pre-order and roughly right around release time. 13 million people, and they knew that game wasn't ready, dude. That's the thing that it kills me about a company like that. It's just a terrible business practice. It's a terrible company. They did that to everybody, and knowing it wasn't ready. That's where I have an issue. It has nothing to do with the content of the game. It has to do with cheating us as gaming enthusiasts and as the consumer, right? And fine, yeah, they turned the game. Here's the thing. People go, well, the game's good now, right? Where people kind of take that sentiment to is like almost like giving them a pat on the back or whatever, right? It's almost like giving a company a pat on the back, or like kudos or accolades or whatever for turning the game into something that it should have been on release anyways. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go, oh man, you guys are awesome, great job for making the game what it should have been in the first place anyways. It's a terrible mindset to have, in my opinion. So that's where I have a huge issue with companies that do that kind of thing, you know? I don't care. I don't care. I will never ever say or think that video game development is an easy thing, but it is not fair of a company like CDPR to make their community, their fan base, and consumers pay the price for something that they're not willing to take a hit for. They did not want to delay the game and say, it's not ready, we're sorry, it's not ready. They didn't want to catch any kind of flack on that front, so instead they pushed out a piece of crap that wasn't ready, and they duped everybody. That's not acceptable in my book. You know, that's where I have the biggest issue with a company like CDPR. And until they show me they can be different than that, I'll continue to criticize them for it. You know, it's terrible. And that's where I look, there's a big difference between companies that we all need to be accepting of software companies and, developers needing to have delays, right? It's just a fact of the matter. Development of video games is a very difficult process. It's a very long and arduous process with a lot of different pieces that come together. And they're not always going to fit right away, all those pieces, right? So we have to be understanding of the fact that the scope of these projects are huge. And sometimes they're going to need a bit of a delay. But this is where good project planning comes into place for these businesses. They've got to plan for the fact that they're going to maybe need a little bit of buffer time every once in a while to incorporate, assuming that there's going to be those kinds of things that happen, right? And if they project plan very well, normally they're going to be able to hit their dates because they won't push out dates that they won't be able to hit in the first place. But even if they push out a window or a date that they need to delay for, we need to be accepting of the fact that we would rather see a very polished product be pushed out after a delay than the opposite, right? Which is a game get pushed out too soon and be a hot piece of crap and feel like we got cheated out of our money, right? So the other side of that is you take a company like Ubisoft with a game, and I'm going to give you an example, a game like Skull and Bones, right? Skull and Bones has been delayed roughly 8 times now. That tells you something's wrong. So it's absolutely acceptable, and I 9 out of 10 true gaming enthusiasts will tell you that we are absolutely understanding of delays because we would rather have a polished game than be trying to play a piece of crap, right? But on the flip side of that, there are indicators that something's bad about a game and bad about a development studio whenever it's delay after delay after delay after delay after delay after delay. That's still not our fault, right? That's the business. And to be fair, I mean, these businesses are that's their job. Their job is to produce quality products for us as the consumer. And the thing that sucks is that there aren't enough regulations in place to hold them accountable when they do crap like that to us, which is why it's our job to hold them accountable because there isn't anything other than that. So if we keep just paying them and buying into their crap that they do to us all the time, it just snowballs and gets worse. Yeah, CDPR is absolutely amazing at content. It doesn't make up for them doing scummy crap to us, though. I don't care if it's CDPR. I don't care if it's EA. I don't care if it's Blizzard. All of them. We, as a united front of gaming enthusiasts, have to quit buying into the scummy crap they do to us because there's no other regulations or organizations that are going to stand up and do it for us and hold them accountable for pushing out broken products. You know what I mean? It's a really, really weird industry because there aren't regulations to hold them accountable. That's the thing that sucks about it. People always, I get the whole like broken record thing. I talk about this a lot, but it's a lot of other industries in the world have these standards by which they have to hold to. They have to have outside organizations and stuff that are a part of their industry that if the products they're pushing out and the standards by which they're producing their merchandise and things like that aren't hitting those standards, right? Then they get sanctioned for it. They get fined for it, all kinds of different stuff. They have to be recalled and things like that. The gaming industry isn't like that. There's none of that stuff in place. So these software developers just get to run amok, dude, and they just get to take advantage of us as the consumer all the time because there's nothing in place to do it. There's nothing in place to hold them accountable for doing this crappy stuff. So you get these developers and publishers that lean on things like a name, right? Whether it be a name like Blizzard or a product name like Star Wars or whatever, and knowing that they're doing scummy stuff and knowing that products are malfunctioning or broken and not ready to be pushed out, but they do it anyways because they know they can get away with it and they know people will buy it because of the name that's behind it, right? And they know that there's nothing, there are no kind of repercussions for it. It's terrible, man. Which is why it falls on us, unfortunately. A lot of people don't look at it like that. But if people don't start paying attention to these companies that do this kind of stuff to us and quit buying into it, it just gets worse and worse because unfortunately it does fall on us as the consumer and as the enthusiasts in these industries. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. I know I talk about it a lot, and people are like, well, I don't really care that much to pay attention. It's like, okay, well, unfortunately, you're going to be probably part of the problem that feeds the beast. Because we don't have anybody above us. We don't have anybody else. We don't have any other regulatory committees or anybody that holds these companies accountable for what they're doing on the scummy side of things. So either you pay attention and you do your part to quit feeding these large, greedy, juggernaut piece of crap companies, or you don't, and you just keep paying them and they keep doing worse and worse and worse by you. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's the truth. I don't know, man. It's terrible. I hate that it's that way. I really do. But this is the world we live in for all of us that love video games, man. It really is.